Well, good morning to you all. Appreciate you joining alongside to watch some official weigh-ins here at UFC 291 and to chat a little bit along the way. Peter's in the house right across the street. Oh, Peter, are you on vacation? You visiting? Are you living here? I guess you're living here, right? You got to work, so you couldn't get out of work today, so you're watching online. Otherwise, you can go to the official weigh-ins, although they don't really have a place for you to sit. So if you ever want to go to an official weigh-ins as a member of the public, you can. But it's usually just like a ballroom, and there's a place in the back. Well, I say that. I don't think you can at the Apex, but the pay-per-view cards you can. Richard Noggin in the house. Appreciate you. Scott McCrade always here. Always appreciate the support. The highlight, baby. I saw Trevor Whitman walking around here. Looks like we're going to get our main event right off the top. So that'll be number 1 and number 2. And from what I'm hearing, we have about 15 fighters lined up and ready to go in the back. So looks like we'll get 15 of the 24 pretty much right off the bat. That's what I figured, Pete. Warm, muggy ballroom in here. So just heard John Anik doing his open over there, saying it's the sweatiest he's ever been going on TV. So, yeah. Definitely a little toasty inside the ballroom this morning. Richard, I think it was Mike Vaughn, actually, that brought it up. A former colleague, Mike Vaughn, I believe. See Justin Gaethje ready to go. Got a stagnant picture here for some reason.
All right, thank you all for being here for the official weigh-in for UFC 291, Poirier versus Gaethje 2. And we will begin with the gentleman around whom this fight card was built. First fighter to the scale, former UFC interim lightweight champion and the number 3 ranked contender, Justin Gaethje. 156, the official weight for Justin Gaethje. All right, next fighter to the scale, also competing for the BMF title on Saturday night, also a former UFC interim lightweight champion, the number 2 ranked contender, Dustin Poirier.
So we're saying the 1 pound allowance is okay. I'll be honest, I do not remember if that was the case in New York. I'd have to go back and look.
$155, the official weight for Dustin Poirier. And with that, your UFC 291 main event is official. All right, next athlete to the scale, competing in a prelim in the UFC's welterweight division, Matthew Semelsberger. $169.5, the official weight for Matthew Semelsberger. All right, next fighter to weigh in this morning, competing in the UFC women's flyweight division, Miranda Maverick. $125.5, the official weight for Miranda Maverick. All right, next fighter to the scale, competing in the men's flyweight division, CJ Vergara. $125.5, the official weight for CJ Vergara. All right, next fighter to the scale, competing in a prelim live on ABC in the middleweight division, Claudio Ribeiro. $185.5, the official number for Claudio Ribeiro. All right, next man to the scale, charged with kicking off the pay-per-view main card in the welterweight division, Kevin Trailblazer Holland. 169.5, the official weight for Kevin Holland. All right, next fighter to the scale, competing live on pay-per-view in the lightweight division. The King is in the building, Bobby King Green. $155.5, the official weight for Bobby King Green. All right, next fighter to the scale, one half of the co-main event. He is the former undisputed UFC light heavyweight champion, now the number 3 ranked contender, Jan Blachowicz. $205, the official weight for the former champ, Jan Blachowicz. All right, next athlete to the stage, one half of the featured prelim live on ABC in the UFC's welterweight division, Trevin Giles.
On the nose.
170 pounds, the official weight for Trevin Giles. All right, next up in the UFC women's flyweight division, we welcome Priscilla Cachoeira. $125 for Priscilla Cachoeira. All right, next fighter to the scale, competing live on pay-per-view, the former Ultimate Fighter Live winner and the number 12 ranked UFC welterweight contender, Michael Maverick Chiesa.
On the nose.
$170 for Michael Chiesa. All right, next fighter to weigh in this morning, competing in a prelim in the UFC's middleweight division, Roman Kopylov. $185 for Roman Kopylov. All right, next athlete to the stage, the other half of that featured prelim in the welterweight division, Gabriel Bonfim. $170, the official weight for Gabriel Bonfim. All right, next fighter to weigh in this morning, also competing in the welterweight division, the Celtic Kid, Jake Matthews. $170 on the nose for Jake Matthews. All right, next fighter to the stage is the former undisputed UFC middleweight champion, moving up to light heavyweight in the co-main event here on Saturday night, Poatan Alex Pereira. $205.5, the official weight for Alex Pereira. All right, next fighter to the stage, competing in a welterweight prelim on ABC and making his UFC debut, Darius Flowers. $170.5, the official weight for Darius Flowers.
All right, looks like we're at our first break of the day. I did go back and look at UFC 244 weigh-in results, and Nate Diaz came in for that BMF title fight at 170.4. Jorge Masvidal was 169.6. So I guess the 1 pound allowance is the thing in the BMF title. I'll be honest, I did not remember it, if I'm being completely honest with you. Got the hot tea himself, Oscar Wills, next to me. I told him that, and he said we probably had the same reaction then. I bet we did. I don't remember back, but I bet we were like, what? Do you get an allowance? So, anyway, all good there. Let's scroll up and see what's going on, everybody. Josh Hernandez shouting out. Good to have you here, brother. Appreciate it. Don Flamenco in the house. Peter said, Anik looks like crap. Yeah, he said, looks like we're already getting back to action, so we'll. But yeah, in his open, he was saying how sweaty he was. It's hot in here for some reason.
All right, next fighter to the scale is the 10th ranked UFC heavyweight contender, former world title challenger, and one of the most decorated knockout artists in UFC history, the Black Beast, Derrick Lewis.
Okay.
$263.5, the official weight for Derrick Lewis.
He had a six-pack. He was not lying. We assumed he was going to walk out with a six-pack of beer or something, but no, he had a six-pack.
Literally breaking news.
Yeah. Delivered on his promise. The six-pack is there.
That was the most shocking thing I've seen in my career.
All right. So does that change some betting odds there? Do some people want to see that a little bit different?
Bet the house.
Derrick Lewis. All Oh, Cody Merrow jumped in. What's going on? Mark Fellas. Yeah, man. Shout out to Mark Fellas, always supporting. Yeah, it's tough to get a cold beer here, so we got to change these liquor laws. But Derrick Lewis, yeah, listen, man. So I talked a little bit about this on the road show, but like when Derrick Lewis at media day was saying, I passed out and all that. I mean, with Derrick, you never know, right? There's always a little touch of sarcasm in there. Was he exaggerating a little bit? Was he being silly? But I mean, I kind of took him at his word because you're not going to make jokes about somebody's health, especially if they passed out. But it seems like he's been taking it serious, man. So, he admitted there's a lot to prove here, but damn, he sure is in shape, man. That's pretty fantastic. Yeah, I was worried about it being too hot. It's always too hot. All right, I brought my audio levels up a little bit. I'm always worried it's going to be too hot. Or too loud, we'll say. And blow out your speakers. All right, let's see here. Jan by decision. The double dip of Alex by KO. Yeah, I mean, look, if Alex is going to win, it's probably going to be by knockout. That'd be your assumption, right? I kind of like Jan by decision, though, as well. Oh, Cody Merrow's got that poor time by first round knockout. Plan to get it done. Just pound one. And we went to, a couple nights ago, we went to a bar, Jackalope over on State Street. That was pretty cool. Like, that was like a proper cool little bar. Like, wherever you would be, that was a cool spot. But sometimes, I appreciate that, Cody. Appreciate that. But yeah, sometimes like you some places you go here, they just I don't know. It's like they look at you funny when you're trying to order quickly. Richard, I don't think I saw Dane in that time because I had a lot of travel. I was doing a lot of CFFC events and stuff, so I don't think I. Lake Effect, I heard about that. Last night we didn't really go out last night. Trying to be good on a Thursday. These official weigh-ins come bright and early in the morning. Too funny. What else we got here? Oh, I saw some people talking about you guys talking about Dana and I being here. I don't know if he's gonna be here on Saturday or not. To be honest with you, I don't know how long his vacation is. I don't think he's retiring anytime soon. I don't. I think he loves. And I've said this before. I've said it because whenever the sale was made, and he was given a few $100 million. I think a lot of people were like, man, he's gonna walk away. But I've said it, and I'll continue to say it. Like Dana likes the position that he's in. He loves being in the center of all this. Like he needs that like constant, busy, wild chaos, craziness. He needs all that. So I don't think he's going away, but I do think he is trying to take more time away. Realize he doesn't have to be at every single event. Realize that that's the whole reason. As a business owner, that's what you do, right? You build a team, that can run things for you. Rob Haydack at CFFC, he has a great. I heard him say it one time in terms of building businesses. He's like, if you've got something that can run without you, if you've built it out where you don't have to be there and it still runs the same, then you have a business. If it's something that only runs when you're there, that's a job. And it's like, that's a pretty smart way to put it. John Castillo, always do hard on Thursday. I used to, man. I used to do hard pretty much every night. Still do on most nights. But I just hate showing up and feeling like trash at 8 o'clock in the morning on Fridays. Yeah, Zach, he's a good dude, man. What was the question? Would you trade drinking beer for having multiple wives? Well, I don't know what the trade. Cody, what's the trade? Because I definitely want to drink beer, and I sure as hell don't want more than one wife. One is enough for me. I agree, just like Zach said. One is enough. All right, looks like we're getting
All right,
back
next
to this.
fighter to the scale, competing in a prelim in the welterweight division, Uros the Dr. Medic. 170.5, the official weight for Uros Medic.
All right, so just as a quick recap, looks like we're just waiting on 5 people at this point. Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, first to weigh in. Gaethje was 156, but to confirm, a 1 pound allowance is okay for the BMF title. As I mentioned earlier, I Googled I had to go back and look at the UFC 244 weigh-in results. And Nate was actually a little bit heavy, 170.4. So it's not unprecedented or what have you. 1 pound allowance for BMF title. I did not remember that. Jan Blachowicz and Alex Pereira are both in, but we're waiting on Michelle Pereira, Wonderboy Stephen Thompson, Tony Ferguson, heavyweight Marcos Rogero de Lima, and Vinicius Salvador in the flyweight division on the prelims. So that's all we're waiting on at this point. Oh, damn, you're wrong. Hating on the Utah Sports Commission logo. It is weird, right? I guess I kind of see, like, it looks like it's a person running, but it's actually like a sun, a mountain, and like the desert landscape for the legs. So it's like a Utah scenic made into a stylized running person. And yeah, Richard Naga, I think you hit the nail on the head right there. He's built out his staff. He's got enough people around him. People here know what they're doing. I mean, he's always on the phone. He's always reachable. You can always text him, call him, whatever. He's around like 24/7. Dude doesn't sleep much, but he may still be here on Saturday. I don't know. I think I heard it was kind of up in the air, but I don't know what his status is. I heard he was on vacation in Italy, so let the man have a vacation. Oh, that's solid, Cody Merrow. That was good right there. Too funny. Good, solid work there on the Delta delays. Yeah, Janelle, man. Michelle Pereira is huge. Absolute monster. So I saw somebody saying, interesting to see how Tony Ferguson looks as well. I am too. great energy at the media day for Tony Ferguson. Um, you know, obviously he's always going to be a little bit wild, but good energy, positive. Um, you know, I asked him about the arrest, and he's like, "Look, man, I've changed things. I'm good." Um, he actually came over and said, "What's up?" after, so he definitely didn't take offense to it. And man was just making those claims like, "Hey, I think my prime is still ahead." Different energy at the press conference yesterday for sure. Stoic, and I don't know if that's just by decision or he doesn't like to get into it. It seems like we've had a couple of those, right? Of course, one of the last pressers he did was when he gave us the great Dana White privilege line. And then he was supposed to do the press conference that got canceled, right? So we didn't get to see his energy there. But yeah, I mean, definitely super stoic. I don't know if that's because the weight cut had started. He was already looking pretty lean, but yeah, interesting to see how Tony looks. It's a weird thing with Tony because you can't deny the setbacks, and he doesn't deny. He admits he wasn't putting in the work. But it's also a pretty elite list of fighters he lost to, so it's tough. Gianni's teeth. Groshi. Yeah, Denal, I think that's a great assessment, right? I think that's why this matchup is good because, Tony, obviously you worry about him catching a big shot, right? I mean, that's what we're worried about at this point. And when you do think Bobby, you do think, the slick head rolls, the crisp boxing that he has, but as you said, not the one-punch finishing power. Then you start leaning towards wrestling, and I do think Bobby Green has really good defensive wrestling as well. So we'll see. It's a good fight on paper. I like it. I'm a little surprised at the odds. And maybe I shouldn't be. I mean, there's been so much failure, lately for Ferguson. I'm sure a lot of people are just writing him off and just saying, oh, he's done. What's the point? I mean, at least that's what that line seems to indicate to me. I think I like that. Maybe I'm just kidding myself because, we've been covering Tony for so long and I like the guy, but it seems like a more competitive fight, I should say, than the line indicates. But I fully admit that when and it's just natural, right? Like, when I see somebody fight for the first time, man, I can so just like straight break down, here's what they're good at, here's what they're bad at, here's where the shortcomings are at, et cetera, et cetera. And then once you have years of conversations with them and relationship, like, I'm gonna be honest, of course I get a bias, you just can't help it. But I think it's a fun fight. We know there's gonna be something crazy going on. Bobby's gonna be talking trash. Tony, you never know what he's gonna do. I think for entertainment value, it's gonna be good. 5 fights in a title would be a challenge. 5 fights in a title would be a challenge. I think if Dana left, I think when Dana leaves, and I don't think it'll be soon, but when Dana leaves, I think it's pretty clear that Hunter is the heir apparent. So the way things stand right now, I think that'd be it. Running as a trio is tough because, they are kind of a trio in terms of a committee, but you got to have somebody that ultimately has the final say, right? Somebody just has to ultimately say, like, if there's, you could say majority rules, I guess, whatever, 2-1, but somebody needs to be able to make a decision. I think Hunter will be that guy. It will be interesting to see when that happens, like, which I assume it will at some point, like, how public-facing Hunter is. Because right now he's kind of stays in the background, you know what I mean? And I don't know if that's just simply by design or I think I've never heard. I've always spoken to him. I've spoken to him a few times on record. As I say, the matchmakers obviously aren't allowed to do interviews. That's contractually obligated. They're not allowed to. Hunter's done a few, so yeah, he's not. But I don't know. Like, will he be the guy that's out there at the press conferences? You know, proud to be here, or at that point, do they, you know, if Anik is still around or somebody else? That'd be interesting to see how publicly facing he be. Mark, everything that I've heard in the background is that they were just holding out hope that Dricus would be ready. That doesn't appear to be the case. I mean, I think you got to go Strickland at this point. I mean, I was trying to think. You know, would you maybe wait to see what happens? Is there anything that could factor in this weekend that you're like, well, let's get 291 done, and maybe we can spin something off that? I mean, obviously, anytime Behead is involved, Adesanya's name comes up, but I just don't see it. I mean, I could see them meeting at 205 for a title at some point, but other than that, like, I don't see what you would do. So, I mean, Strickland just really does seem like the only option. It's crazy, Mark. I saw your tweet yesterday, though, that Australia already sold out. That's wild, man. And it was funny because I think it was like, what was that? The one pay-per-view somewhere around was it like 110, I think, was in Sydney also. I remember when that one sold out. I believe it was that card. If it's another card, maybe you'll remember. But I remember that was another one that sold out before a single fight had been announced. And I was just like, wow, that really shows you the power of the brand. If, like, look, hey, man, you don't know who you're going to see yet, but we're coming. And the building sells out. That's pretty damn incredible. Yeah, Zach, he is basically half deaf. One of his ears doesn't work at all. And the other one is pretty rough, so. I literally said, for the longest time, I literally think one of the reasons Dana liked talking to me was just because I'm loud. Like, I really think there's something to that. Poor Oscar Willis, sometimes Dana can't understand him because he's deaf, and then he's got an accent, and Dana doesn't get it all. He has to, like, slow down and clarify his words. Yeah, 110. Yeah, and 127 did too, right? Sold out without even a fight announced. Amazing. The Meniere's disease. I believe so. Man, this is testing my memory a little bit, but I believe part of the treatment for the Meniere's that he had, which was really bad, which, if you remember, that used to be like debilitating for him, was to cut a nerve in the ear. And so because of that, if not, I could be remembering that incorrectly, but I believe it was because he had to cut a nerve in order to treat it, and so that basically made one ear deaf, and then the other one is like, I think it's just attrition from being in loud arenas and venues and stuff. No second round of questions for me yesterday. I could have, but we ended up pretty quick. Richard Naga, I didn't see that. Is that story true? Did you hear that? Is this true that Dwayne Johnson bought Timbo Grimbo a house?
I saw he went to visit him. I didn't see what he'd done for him.
Yeah, man. If that's true, this is the first time I heard of it. He said that Timba took his win money and set up a water pump in the town he comes from, and so Dwayne Johnson bought him a house. If that's true, man, that's awesome. If that's true, that's awesome. Mark Phelps, that's a different Meniere's disease. Sexist. Tony's out chasing bears. That was the crazy story, right? When Tony's like talking, yeah, I saw a bear, so I decided to go like find its water table and its food supply, and then he broke out the knife. I was actually like seriously. I was wondering yesterday at the press conference um, if security watched the media day and saw that he had a knife on him, and if so, did they say anything to him? Like, I can't imagine he would ever pull it out in a stare down. He's not that kind of guy. But I mean, if you know a guy has a knife on him and they're about to have a face-to-face confrontation, like, I mean, I'm sure, wouldn't you be like, no, no, no? Um, Mark Hot Tea just went, I think, to go get a cup of coffee. So when he comes back, I will ask him. Convention center. I don't know why I was at the convention center yesterday. I don't know if I don't know if was the arena booked for anything. Is there anything in town? Um, so there's a couple reasons it could be. One, the arena wasn't available. Two, because the Utah Sports Commission is the presenting sponsor here, they may have just wanted to use the venue to promote the venue. Um, I didn't see the broadcast. I don't know if much of the venue was discussed or featured in like B-roll or anything like that. But there are situations like that where the presenting sponsor will be like, "Well, we'd like for you to do it here." Um, so that might be it. California love. What's going on? It's in the house. Oh, by the way, I didn't get to talk about the Cosm thing. Man, blew me away. This thing is cool. Just keep it on your radar. I mean, it's not going to be something that's you see a lot of, but if you guys saw this, I tweeted a little bit about it. I think Alex Buchanan and Jose Youngs each like took videos and posted some videos as well. I didn't post video because I just didn't think it did it justice. I've actually asked them to send me some official footage, but this thing was cool, man. I'm telling you right now, just if they build one of these things near you, like go check it out. So the first ones are in L.A. and Dallas, and the easiest way to describe it, I guess, that we've figured out is that it's like VR but without goggles. But that just sounds so completely underwhelming to the experience. Like it is cool, and then what's really cool about it is not only is the tech cool of the screen, but the way they've got these venues planned and set up. Like it's, you know, bars and restaurants and stuff inside the venue, and you know they'll come bring you everything to your table, so you don't have to get up and get it. You know, they'll come bring it to you, and then it's cool too because in like a movie theater, the image is so bright that even if all the lights are on, it still looks flawlessly perfect. So you don't have to have it like a dark theater, so you can actually have the lights on and see the people around you and hang out. It was super cool. I'm excited for it. I'm excited for it. It blew me away. I went with, I wouldn't say low expectations, but just like, eh. And I walked away wishing I had stock in the company. All right, Hot Tea's back. You doing Sydney? Mark Fellows, he'll be in Sydney. If you want to buy the man a vodka and soda or frosty beverage, vodka Sprite. Apologize. Yes, I forgot. He's a vodka Sprite guy. I always forgot.
I'm trying to teach myself to like soda.
Can't do it. I was doing some vodka and Pellegrinos in my room last night. So.
In my brain.
So yes, Mark, he will be there. That'd be funny.
It'd always be worth it.
Oh, yeah, Zach, the 8K. All right, he said vodka Sprites are on him. Mark, he's got you. Elite, you got to think it's. I mean, I think they're always kind of tough weight cuts for Tony, but yeah, Zach, the 8K, just crazy, man. I can't tell you how good the image quality. And then so we watched the fights, and the fights were cool, but they just showed us like some other stuff as well. Like there was one thing where like they took a picture of the Sistine Chapel at the Vatican, and just from a still image, they were able to create like a moving environment in it, which was amazing. They showed like a landscape. It looked like, you know, like an Italian villa or something like that, and the size of the screen. I think that's part of it. The size of the screen is bigger than your, what would you call that? I guess your range of vision. So that it's not like you ever really see the edge of the screen. So it feels like you're in that environment because you don't see like the side of it or what have you. So, and then again, the image, it's crystal clear. Here's the best way I could put it. When it first came on, and they showed it, because then at first they started out showing just like from outside of the arena, like it, swear to God, felt like I feel on Saturday night when I'm sitting in my seat cage side. Like it literally felt like in my brain, it felt the exact same. Like I started having those, like literally like the emotions of that. You start to get to feel like that excitement of like, oh, that's how it felt. Like I've never had that with VR. Like VR is cool and it's unique and it's see the way it's evolving. But this, like, I legit felt like I was there. And then they started going to like, in the cage and places that you can't go, and the tech is awesome. And then, like I said, the venues themselves. If it was just tech and they were just like, oh, and these are great, and we're gonna see what people do with it, you'd be like, okay. But then they started showing you like the venues they have built. Like I said, the first one's in LA, the second one's in Dallas. The venues that they have, like it would just be a cool ass place to go hang out. Period. So put the two together, crazy, crazy. Like I said, I walked away being like, man, I wish I had stock in this company because I really, sometimes people, I had seen that interview, and they actually played that interview with Aaron Bronstetter, and I had seen it before where Aaron was asking about, what's the future, and Dana talked about this, and sometimes it can be kind of overblown or whatever. I will say, like, a lot of people, when they opened the Apex, and he was like, this is the future of fighting, and people talk shit, and I was like, nah, it kind of is, and I think that's proven right. I think he's right in this one too. This changed it. Like, if you were gonna go see a sporting event, I mean, I would want to see it there. So, anyway, enough about that. But put it on your radar. Once they start opening, if there's one near you and you got a fight you want to see, a game you want to see, or whatever, put it on your radar to go because it's super cool. All right, let's take a look at what we got going here. I gotta get myself caught up on where we are. Oh, still where we were earlier, huh? Waiting on 5. Michelle Pereira, Wonderboy Thompson, Tony Ferguson, Marcus Rogero de Lima, and Vinicius Salvador. I did see Vinicius yesterday, and this was probably like 3 in the afternoon, and he wasn't looking incredibly happy. So I don't know how hard his cut is down to the flyweight division, but at 4 in the afternoon, he didn't look like. I've seen him a lot because he trains under Alex Davis and the team there, where my kid does jiu-jitsu. So I've seen him a lot there, and I've seen him in a lot better spirits than I saw him yesterday. So hopefully he's good. Michelle Pereira, as somebody mentioned earlier, is just a massive dude. I'm sure his weight cut's tough. Wonder Boy, I'm thinking Wonder Boy's just getting a cup of coffee or something. I don't think his cuts are hard. He looked lean. Obviously, we're all intrigued in Tony Ferguson. Marcus Rogero de Lima, he said that on media day, because I was asking him about fighting here in the elevation, because he fought in Denver before, years and years ago. Oh, never mind. That's funny. Anik jumped up. And so all the camera people and stuff started moving, including myself. But he was actually just in the middle of a conversation with Chris Costello, or a PR man. He just wanted to show him something on his phone, so he popped up out of his seat to show him. What is it?
It's not confirmed.
Oh, fine. I just heard the rock. Yeah. Okay, no worries.
It's not reported.
Ooh, why am I getting flickering? So why am I getting flickering? Might be. Let me check that. Ooh, that's not good. It's not having anybody have any seizures or anything. I'm gonna check these cables here real quick. Give me a second, guys. Oh, it's settled. This thing is super hot. I wonder if it's this Black Magic box. It gets so hot. Yeah, it's definitely coming through. All right. Yeah, it is. It's Anik's fault. It wasn't flickering until Anik popped up. All right, I'm going to reset these cables real quick. You'll lose image, but it'll save you from having a seizure, so I think it's worth it. This is super hot. But I don't know if that's it. See, I always be like, it's not flickering there, so it's definitely somewhere in the connection.
It's going to be real bad. That's cool though.
Yeah, the Black Magic is like the device that takes the camera signal and puts it into the computer. And it's running really, really hot. It always gets a little bit warm. So I'm thinking maybe that was it that was causing that. That happened once before. I don't remember what was going on. But yeah. Peter says anything above 4K in altitude, you need a special part. I don't know if that's true. I believe you. I'm definitely not the technical expert. Cold coffee. Cold coffee is he's the technical guy. He always goes to that big show every year. There's a big trade show. Can't remember what they call that thing where it says like all the not the CES. There's another one that's like more for video production. Can't remember what that damn thing's called. He always goes out there just to look at like the latest tech and the newest cameras and whatever. But we're good. We're back for now. Jack Black look-alike, master of the lazy leg kick counter. That is the truth. Oh, cold coffee. Wonder Boy and Beheaded should do a catch weight. Well, I know you say not really a title identification fight, but you're right. But Wonder Boy, it is. I mean, he's still up there in the rankings. You know what I mean? And he did say, I mean, he made kind of an interesting case, right? He just said, Leon Edwards. You know, like, hey, you're tired of facing these wrestlers. Why don't you face a striker like me now? You know. I don't know if he's going to get one with it when there's a lot of other names in there that might want to step in front of him. But make a case. And he is 40. He's the oldest guy on the card. It was funny. He was like, isn't Jan 40? And I didn't think Jan was 40, but he is. For some reason, I thought he was like 38, 39. And but it turns out that Jan is like 13 days younger than Wonder Boy. So Wonder Boy's the oldest guy in the card. Yeah, do not. Altitude probably doesn't help up here with the equipment, and it's cooling off a little bit in this room, but it was hot earlier. My computer's running hot too. I don't know if that's got the altitude, but whatever. We're back. No flickers. Just glad I saw it. Still 5 to go. Still a lot of time left. And we still have technically an hour plus. So no concern. Yeah. Hopefully it doesn't take that long.
Does Tony do weird things like deliberately weigh in with 1 minute to go?
Nah, I don't think so. I think it's just a rough cut. Yeah. The elite squad said, he's coming back down from 170. He's trying to cut at altitude.
Sure.
Yeah.
I guess so, yeah. Fuck, I
Might have.
didn't even clock that he fought a welterweight last time.
Yeah.
Didn't even like.
Yeah.
That whole event just feels like fever dream.
Whole event was weird. That was one of the first autograph posters I bought in years.
Oh yeah.
Just because it was such like weird chaos, I was like, about that. I need to frame that one for my office.
What was it? Yeah, what?
279? Really? Bought it for 3.
Imagine that fight went ahead, bro. Isn't that fucking wild? That's got to be it's got to be one of the weirder posters that never happened.
It is
Yeah,
that's why I bought it, like, because it's like all the fights. So everybody on there fought. So you got all those big names in there. You got Nate and potentially his last UFC fight, probably not, but potentially Hamza. So you got all these names, but like those fights didn't happen. So I was like, all right, I'm shelling out the bucks for this one. Yeah, we were just talking the UFC 279 autograph poster is one of the last ones I bought. I mean, obviously that wasn't that long ago, but I haven't bought many in years. But just the whole weirdness of that event made me like, I got to get this one. So. Mark Fellows, the altitude, I don't really ever notice it that much up here. I will say, I do feel like on the off chance I consume some alcohol, that it affects, on the rare occasion that I partake lightly of adult concoctions, that it hurts me more the next morning than it does at sea level. Now, maybe that's my imagination. But I feel like when I'm here and in Denver, I'm a little bit more hungover the next morning. So, Peter, I don't know if is that a real thing up here. I feel like I'm more affected by the beverages the next morning than I am when I'm at lower levels. Yeah, good point, Richard. He does train a big bear, so he's used to it. Can you let Anik know we fully enjoy when he cusses on the microphone? John Castillo, I don't think you even need to tell Anik that. Like, Anik loves to cuss more than anything. He restrains because professionally he's not supposed to. I'm sure if you listen to his podcast, you hear him drop some F-bombs here and there. I think he truly enjoyed getting to belt out the full name of the BMF title at yesterday's press conference. Yeah, you could see the smile coming out of him. But if you talk to Anik off the mic, like, he is, you will hear some expletives. I don't even know. Does altitude have an effect on weight cutting? Other than just the cardio aspect of it. But I wonder if you're like, well, your body retains water more in like plains and stuff, but that's like insane.
It's 35,000.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's like not. I don't know if that's just because of the altitude or is that like pressurized air? I don't know.
We're twice as high as
Yeah. 3 times, right? Oh, not quite. Yeah. For some reason, I thought Vegas was like 1,700. Huh. I don't know. Yeah. How Anik manages not to swear on broadcast is beyond me. That is professionalism. Because in his daily life, that man is cussing up a storm. That's funny. It is funny, right? Like, you can't drop an F-bomb on the broadcast, but yet, like, we're watching, you'd be like, well, that's inappropriate for the broadcast. But it's like, we're watching 2 dudes, like, have hand-to-hand combat in a cage. Like, come on. CFFC. It's funny. Like, nobody's ever told us not to, but we always just try to keep it clean. Every now and then it slips.
I was going to tell Matt what I just got.
Every now and then it slips.
From your daddy.
This looks like we got Wonder Boy on deck, by the way. I'm reading some lips of some people off to the side, but I believe we're going to have Stephen Thompson up next, and I'm waiting. There's definitely some cameras moving. I think I saw somebody say Wonder Boy. Oh, yeah. Zach Petrosky did give it. I remember that. That was crazy. What a crazy knockout that was. Can't wait to see Raheem Forrest on the Contender Series. Yeah, denial. It's kind of weird, right? I get it for like. I mean, I do get it for like the ABC shows, and I mean, I kind of get it. Like, it's like, oh well, there's families watching. Like, there's little kids watching. I'm like, well, if you trust your little kid to watch cage fighting, maybe you trust them enough to hear a cuss word. And trust me, as being a dad, your kid already knows the words. I mean, my kid had no chance. But you know what? I'll tell you what. My kid knows everything, but he doesn't say it. He knows he'll get in trouble. Yeah, that 2-second KO was crazy. That glove touch, man. I do absolutely hate the glove touch to a strike. Like that to me is garbage. I know there's a lot of people that just don't like the glove touch at all. I don't hate it to start the first. I don't like to do it every round. Like, come on, what are we doing? Especially if like you're behind going into round 3, and it's like you need to pick up the pace, and like, well, hold on, you're giving, you know, and definitely not like mid rounds, but yeah, that to me is one of the cheapest moves in MMA when you have somebody that strikes off the glove touch. Man, I hate that. But to your point, Richard, you you better be damn sure that other person's trying to think the same way you are. The hug. Yeah, okay, I see Wonder Boy. I don't know what to do. Uh-oh. That was weird. He was like talking with the commission, so I wonder if he's going to be heavy. I don't know. Like normally you don't have a conversation with the commission before you jump on the scale. So that concerns me a little bit.
All right, next fighter to the scale. Competing live on pay-per-view in the UFC's welterweight division, former world title challenger and the 7th-ranked contender, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. $170.5, the official weight for Stephen Wonderboy Thompson.
Okay, so maybe it just turns out Wonder Boy's such a nice guy. He's just a chatty guy. He just wanted to talk to the commission. How you doing there, buddy? Probably should have known. Sorry about that, guys. I just, you see things out of the ordinary, and you're like, huh, what's that about? But the nicest mother was good to go. Nadia Kassem versus Ji Young Kim, was it? And yeah, Richard, it's about making the sport look professional for sure. And I guess I do subscribe to that because obviously covering the sport through the days when it was begging to be considered an actual sport, and now it definitely is. I guess it's just a weird standard. Over under on number of flips Michelle does in the cage. It's weird, right? Because on the one hand, you want to tell them like, hey, chill out. Don't use up all your energy. But on the other hand, that's what makes them fun, right? That's what makes them unique. It's what makes them exciting. So it's such a tough balance. Uh-oh. What was, can you elaborate, Richard, or tell us where we go to see that? Hopefully it's good. No, it says, twice coming out? Okay. You heard say Tony. All right. Oscar Willis overheard a Tony. He just said, I saw a video of Diego Sanchez acting strange for Diego. Hope he's just playing. So I don't know what it is. But yeah, Oscar Willis said he heard off camera somebody say Tony. Yep, looks at Tony confirmed. Tony will be next. Shades are on. Shades are on, and he is walking with a purpose.
All right, next athlete to the stage is a mixed martial arts legend, former UFC interim lightweight champion, and competing live on pay-per-view this Saturday night, El Cucuy, Tony Ferguson. $155, the official weight for Tony Ferguson.
155 with the sunglasses. Championship weight. He did say 5 fights and a title. Is making championship weight. All right, that takes us down to Michelle Pejeda, Marcus Rogero de Lima, and Vinicius Salvador. So anybody that's not a Brazilian has made weight at this point. We're just waiting on the Brazil crew. Theoretically, they all could come in together. Still plenty of time, obviously 55 minutes to go. Hey, it's only a few grams, but come on. Look at that. Denal said he senses fear in the scale. Well played, sir. Well played. Yeah. Okay. Well, okay. I don't know if Anik needed a bathroom break, maybe? got to be close because it seems like he always cut down to 265. Interestingly enough, he was 263 against Blades. And that was one of his biggest wins, yeah. 261 and a half against Latifi. So it's not, but it's interesting to see the times. I mean, how much different can a pound and a half make? But it's interesting to see the times that he's not right on the button. Were some of his best performances, you know? .262 against Travis Brown. Last night, I bought tickets to the Sphere because, like, after going and seeing that thing, I was like, "Oh, I'm not gonna miss that." So, like, I bought tickets to just the movie, not the U2 thing or whatever.
I'm excited to see that too.
Yeah. I was like, it's too damn expensive. Last night, I was like, nope, I want to see it now. So I bought like the cheap tickets. So it's opening. We're going to the opening night of the movie, the Postcard from Edgeweb, and it was like $70. It's called Postcard from Earth.
It's just going to be some Galaxy thing.
Yeah. An hour. Yeah. So I got the cheap tickets. So I told my wife because, well, first of all the good tickets are already gone. Second of all, they're all really expensive. So like we're sitting in the top of the back, but I was like, I just want to be in the building. So, but for 3 people in fees, it was like $250. Not cheap, but not bad. It's pretty expensive.
I'm curious to see.
But after yesterday, I broke down. Yeah, I bought. It's funny. I just got an email, which made me think about this. But I bought tickets to the first night of the Sphere in Vegas. October 6th, I think, is the debut. There'll actually be U2 shows there beforehand, so there will be other people that going there. But dude, after seeing that Cosm thing yesterday, I was like, all right, I gotta go see the Sphere. So he was like $250 for 3 tickets for me, my wife, and kid. But normally, I like to do things VIP if I go because I'm spoiled like that. But A, they were too expensive. B, they're all sold out. So we went cheap. We're sitting up top. All right, let's see here. All right, John Anik is back now, so we can proceed. Although it doesn't know if I have anybody. All right, let's see what we got here. Oh, Big Ben finally in the house. What's going on, man? Do you think there will be a trilogy of Justin wins? Yes, I do. Fan interest will be too high. I laid it out on the roadshow the other day. I was like, okay, if I was a script writer, if this was WWE and I could write out the script, I think it would be sick for like Justin to win the fight, then Justin to go on and win the UFC title somehow, and then Dustin challenges him in a trilogy in New Orleans for the title and the BMF title. 2 belts on the line. Do it in New Orleans. And then Dustin wins the fight, and then he lays down both belts. He's like, I worked all my life for this. I'm right here in New Orleans where it all started. Thank you for everything.
Foggy Dew plays. And Connor comes out.
Oh, man, we just punched up the script a little bit. Hot T's got the Foggy Dew playing after that. The Foggy Dew music.
This is not over.
That's great. So, yeah, but, all right, so I don't know if that scenario will play out, but I do think, man, if Justin wins, I don't know that they'd go right back to it, but come on. I mean, the fan interest in a third fight between them, assuming this one plays out like we believe it will, I mean, don't know any way it would, and these guys don't seem to know any other way. Except when we talk tough. Come on now. Let's see. Yes, I'm still watching The Ultimate Fighter. I still watch everything. I watch it all. I watch it with the family. The vid with Diego. I'll have to check it out. Big Ben getting a plug in for his boys, Mike and Mish. They had me on not too long ago. Good dudes, man. First time I'd met them, but enjoyed chatting with them. They were good dude. Good dudes. You watch it on Fridays? I watch it. Oh, okay. So I ruined it for you. So I got spoilers. Oh. Sorry about that. I didn't even think about that. My bad. I did. I just, first of all, I've always loved Jason Knight, man. I think he's a scrapper. When that dude throws down, like he's one of those fighters that you're just like, dude, I want to watch him fight because I know it's gonna be fun. But his country accent just trips me out, and I don't know why. It just made me laugh so much. And he's like, you know, Connor brings over a chef and he cooks this Irish stew, and he's talking about his family recipe and how great it is. And Jason Knight's just like, I don't know, it's just vegetable and beef stew with beer instead of water. I don't know why it cracked me up so much. The one thing that always baffles me is how some fighters who need to cut weight don't utilize the PI. Yeah, it's yeah. First of all, Denal Hick Diaz, and that's just an awesome name. Yeah, you know what's weird? I think in the beginning there was some concern about the PI, like, and I think that concern's going away. I think just like, oh well, do I want this information to be there because this, these people, they are working with my opponent too. And I think there was a little bit of hesitation in the beginning, like, oh, I don't know, that's not really my team. And I think too, you had a lot of coaches in the beginning that were like, oh no, we know the way. This is the way that we have it. But I think that's gone away over time. And I agree, man. To be honest with you, I've said this many times since the PI opened, and I'll continue to say it. I believe if you're in the UFC, if you have the ability to move to Las Vegas, do it during your career. Do it so that you can take advantage of the PI. At the very least, if you can come out and do your camp there, do it. Because again, taking access to all that stuff, man, it's huge. I think it was one Camilo Renderos, if I remember right, that beyond fighting, like he used to manage like a dental office, and he was in charge of like all the P&L and stuff like that. So anyway, he's very like business minded, and he was telling me, he's like, I did the calculations. He's like, the services that I get at the PI save me about $4,000 a month that I would normally be paying for the dietary stuff, the recovery stuff. He's like, it saves me about $4,000 a month. So yeah, absolutely should be using the PI 100%. T-Bone, what's going on? Denial, anyway, looked amazing. Yeah, Cody Merrow, you know what's funny is there are some fighters that have bought houses very close to the PI that basically use it as a rental property for other fighters, which is smart. Oscar Lara, my understanding is that they were really holding out hope that Dricus was going to be ready, that maybe there was some, false alarm there. And, hey, what if we sweeten the pie a little bit? What if we do this? Maybe it's just a negotiating tactic. But, in fact, he just will not be ready. So, Big Ben, you're right. This past week's episode of The Ultimate Fighter was probably the roughest of the year. Just because the fight, the atmosphere of the fight with the coaches not coaching, and then the two fighters being a little hesitant, yeah, it made for a rough episode. Yeah, and that, by the way, Denal, that anyway performance was insane, man. That dude is good. Yeah, Denal, I mean, this, financially, you know what's going to be. I mean, the DDP fight versus the Strickland fight. Come on. I mean, that's just night and day. And stylistically, I think a lot of people are going to have a hard time buying into Strickland and his style over Adesanya's. It just, unfortunately, seems like a pretty custom-made opponent for Israel, if I can say that respectfully. Not again, anything can happen, and hey, maybe Strickland will come out and wrestle. You know what I mean? Like he was supposed to against Pereira. Maybe. Denial. Shut him down, bro. Yeah. How you going to be a moderator and come in the last 20 minutes? Where were you for the... No, I'm just kidding. T-Bone, you're right. The press conference would get things fired up a little bit. I think Strickland is always going to be pretty good at any verbal exchanges. I mean, obviously he was last time. Like that press conference, the last time they got into it, like I was just, you had to crack up a little bit, man. But because Sean just literally does not care about saying whatever, like he's always going to hold his own pretty good in there. I think like Strickland when he comes into the media day and basically just does crowd work on all the media. Like it cracks me up. It's funny. Now, does he say some things that I think are a little bit over the line? Yeah, but I mean it's not like everything he says is inappropriate. He says some weird stuff, and I know a lot of people got really mad when he was ripping on Dewey Cooper that seemed like unnecessary. I think I even heard an interview with Ari Nixick where even he was like, yeah, that was probably a bit much and unnecessary. Cody, that's true. Yeah, the veterans are too savvy, right? They're like cleaning up the house and, staying sane because they know what's at stake, whereas the kids sometimes don't. All right, commission is getting back in place. 3 fighters left. Oh, wait. They're just coming to take a picture. Mark Fellows, the press will be fun. Yeah, Denial. I haven't heard that podcast yet. I need to listen to it. I think they were kind of joking, right? They're going to get canceled right away, but oh, Mark. It's funny. Yeah, scrolling up a bit. Cody's exactly right. Strickland's verbal skills are underrated because he truly doesn't care about the repercussions. That's why I think he's always going to handle himself well in those exchanges because he doesn't give a shit. Big Ben said Connor's been at the house more than the weigh-ins. It's funny. Like, I mean, you can tell, like, Connor really does want his team to win and get, and care. Like, man, the last loss when he could just drop to his knees, like, oh, come on. I mean, you could tell he cares. But it is, his absence, I guess, is a little bit, doesn't mean anything. I don't know. But it stands out that he doesn't come to any of the weigh-ins. It wasn't. I saw somebody. One of his teammates gave an interview that said that like he was at all of their evening practices, but he was definitely never any of their morning practices. Which I kind of understand. Just enjoying the lifestyle. Enjoying the lifestyle. Well, that's a good point. No, yeah, I don't think that'll be a problem unless they get sponsored by somebody. I don't know if they'll be able to monetize through the general platform. Hmm. Well, I saw a lot of people like kind of dogging on Connor for celebrating so much when it's like, bro, it's 1-7, but it's still a win. It was funny. I don't think they necessarily had to shut down production, but I think they had some delays. I think they had some. No, no, you're fine. You're totally fine. I was trying to move my. Yeah, that's good. It's all right. No, 100%. Yeah. Oh yeah, you're live everywhere. Somebody was up here talking, and they're like, "Oh, are you doing a live stream right now?" Like, yeah, but I don't think they were saying anything. Yeah, no, you're right, Cody, about the sponsors. Like, I don't think you'll have a problem finding sponsors. They'll just have to do it that way if they care. I mean, I don't know, do they even care about making money off the podcast, or are they just doing it just to shoot the shit and have some fun? He is the Mac. He'll never change, but at least he's genuine. That is true, T-Bone. So, of course, just as a reminder to everybody, no face-offs here because it's a pay-per-view. Of course, I think you guys all know. They are an hour later than normal. I noticed on the schedule. Normally, the ceremonials are 4, and today they're at 5, I believe. Yeah. Normally they're at 4 local. They're actually at 5, so the Q&A will be at 4 local. A little sign that says live. That'd be funny. I'll be kicking. I got a few hours to kick it in the hotel room today. Maybe I'll throw on an episode and check it out. That's kind of what I expected it would be now, is that Chris would be basically busy trying to keep Sean from saying things, and Sean just says stuff anyway. That seems to be how things work in their relationship. Sip of coffee here. Press conference was pretty tame yesterday, but man, it was nice seeing all those people up on stage. I really am. This is one of those cards, and I think most of the pay-per-views are like this now, where at the very least, the main card, you're like, yes. And I really like this lineup. Thought it was kind of cool that they had Masvidal there yesterday to square him. It was funny if you guys watched it. Like, they had Masvidal there to square him off, but I guess they didn't rehearse. I guess they just assumed that because he's done it a bunch and because he's a promoter as well, like, he would know what he was supposed to do. But he was like, he just walked and like stood in the back, and then they were like, no, you got to go up there. So he walked all the way to the front and just took pictures. Then the fighters walked on stage, and he was like, okay, I know where I'm supposed to be now. It was kind of funny, but it was a little chaotic. But I thought it was cool to have Masvidal there to face the two guys off and to hold the belt. That was cool. Oh, man, Cody, that's a good question. The question being, is it more likely that Conor gets an exemption than him fighting in 2024 instead? I have said from the beginning, I think it would be a terrible look for the entire USADA program to grant him an exemption. They've been very clear about the fact they need 6 months of testing. And I just think it would be a terrible precedent. Now, that said, the reality of life is financial things are what they are. Superstars are superstars, and financial interests are financial interests, and we all know what makes the world go round, and it is money. But I think USADA's got to stand their ground. I really do think they've got to stand their ground in this. I think you grant the exemption, and just the entire integrity of the program is in question. And I think it's a bad idea. So that's where I stand. Poirier's hot sauce. I have tried Poirier's hot sauce. I have not tried the Creole Maple, and everybody says the Creole Maple is really, really good. So I need to try that one. The regular is really, really good. It's not super spicy by any stretch, and I like spicy, so it's not super spicy, but it's a good it's a Louisiana hot sauce, man. If you know like Louisiana Gold or something like that, like where Poirier is from, you know what I mean? Like use it a lot. It's a good flavor. The hot one, the KO edition, definitely spicy. If you're not a fan of spice, you're not gonna like it. I like it. I actually like the flavor of the original more, but I like the heat of the KO more because the other one doesn't really have much heat to it. But I like the flavor better, if that makes sense. But I have not tried the Creole Maple, and everybody says the Creole Maple is badass. So I need to try that. Oh, getting back to work. Let's see what we got. 3 left. See how many we got. Yeah. Pezao up first. I don't know if there's anybody else behind him.
All right, next athlete to weigh in this morning, competing in the UFC's heavyweight division, the 15th ranked contender, Marcos Rogerio Pezao de Lima. .262, the official weight for Marcos Rogerio Pezao de Lima.
Okay, so 2 left at this point. Michelle Pereira, Vinicius Salvador. It's when you get in situations like that, it's kind of weird. It's like remember when everybody when Dominic had 3 or 4 guys all jockeying for a title shot? Like, how do you go in and make the case, you know? Yeah. I'm here to just represent your desires. Yeah, you can't be like, and here's what I advise. Like, yeah. Well, my guy says he's not taking the fight if you don't do it. Well, my guy says. Wow, that's cool. Wow, crazy. Yeah, dude, I would definitely recommend the hot sauce. It's good. Like I said, I still got to try the Creole Maple. I know a lot of people like it a lot, but I would definitely recommend the hot sauce. It's good. And I think I saw Denal say that it's the most dynamic Louisiana. I agree. Denal, I 100% agree with you, bro. Like, in terms of a Louisiana-style hot sauce, it might be the best I've ever had. Like, I wish it had a touch more heat. But the flavor's awesome. Yeah. They went and grabbed him over from the buffet. They were like, bro, you only got 30 minutes left. Can you knock this out, please? Oh, the whole crew's waiting on you. He was like, all right. Sets down his breakfast. Says, leave this plate right here for me. Connor Diaz is inevitable. Yeah. You know what's funny is, and I want to say that maybe Nate is learning it now, and maybe Francis is learning it now too. Like, what the UFC does bring to the table. Like, I understand. Like, you're 100% right. Like, the draw in fights like that, and the fact that you don't have to share the money with the promoter is big. But the UFC brings a lot to the table. First of all, just the relationships they have. Like, it takes them 2 seconds, and the machine that they have to get all the interviews booked, to get all the everything planned, to get all the promotional stuff together. The other thing is that the UFC is not involved. You don't get any of the footage to use either, which, you know, how many people in boxing, traditional boxing fans know much about Francis Ngannou? I'm guessing not a lot, right? But we all know, because we've seen it, if you can play his highlight reel, like, you don't have to know anything about fighting to watch Francis Ngannou's knockouts and be like, holy shit, I want to watch that dude fight. Like, this dude is scary. But what if you don't have any of those highlights? What if you don't have any of that footage to use? Now how do you sell it? You just go, Francis Ngannou, he was the heavyweight champ, and you show some studio photos of him with the belt. Not quite as effective. So it's a lesson that I think both of them. And again, I think Nate. I think Nate and Francis probably both their contracts are guaranteed, so it really doesn't matter. And obviously, it's not like I'm not wishing success for them both. Like, it's not like, oh, you left the UFC, I hope you fail. No. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying there are challenges that you have to consider that are inherent to not working with the UFC to promote. So it's just something you have to weigh in. So, like, I mean, granted, Connor, one of the biggest stars on the planet, right? I mean, literally one of the most famous athletes on the planet. So if him and Nate were to compete outside the UFC, Connor being the master that he is on the microphone, the powerful social media presence that they have, they'd still probably be pretty damn good. But man, to not be able to use any of that footage, to not be able to have any of that machine.
I've got a question for you, John. What sells more, Jake versus Nate or Francis versus Tyson?
Francis versus Tyson. And I only say that because you've got the old school boxing heads that don't know how to pirate as easily as the kids. You know what I mean? Like Jake's. What are the price points? Do they have it?
360, and I think Tyson is going to be like 80, 90. But you're right, the streaming, the kids can stream.
Kids can stream. That's the thing, is like Jake Paul's audience knows how to stream, right? And Tyson's doesn't. So I say that one. Although that one's going to be on a Saturday afternoon, right? Well, maybe that's better for the old people anyway. They're like, yeah, denial. I think Connor and Nate might be in that situation where they're big enough where they don't need footage. They don't need the machine. I mean, it's not like Nate's a big promotional guy, right? Like, he's never going to have some amazing press conference. Other than, like, smoking weed up there. We were laughing we were just this week, we were laughing about that Arizona press conference where Vittori and Adesanya are going at it, and Nate's just firing up. And pretty funny. So I'm trying to remember what side it was. So basically, the answer to Donald's question, how close I was with Habib, that whole thing happened. It was on the side. It wasn't on the opposite side. I just can't remember if it was the right or the left. So from where I sat cage side, I can't remember if they came in from the left side or the right side. I think they came in from the left side. My left. So it wasn't on the opposite side. It was just to the side. Yeah, that was a crazy, what a fucking crazy night that was. And then like, yeah, I've got footage on my phone of like them ushering him out, and that was like right in front of us because the fighters exit right in front of us, and they actually just walked him down the normal fighter exit. So we got footage on my phone of that. It was just like right next to it. That was wild. Man, it was so crazy, right? Like that whole fight week. I've said it before, but it was one of my least favorite fight weeks, just because the energy, man. It was bad, and honestly, on fight night, I was just ready for the fight to be over, and then I thought Habib had a pretty flawless performance, and then just all that unfolded afterwards. It was crazy, man. Mm. Thankfully, nobody got hurt. That was nuts. Perry, boy, I thought Wonder Boy. I think it was Wonder Boy who had a very honest assessment about MVP the other day and was like, "I think you'll have a hard time if he's here to try to win the title, but if he's here to come in and just have some fun fights, there's some very fun fights to be made for MVP in the UFC, but that he would struggle against some of the better grapplers at the top of the division." And I think that's a very honest assessment and accurate assessment. So I do think that's an interesting part of maybe the negotiations as they talk is what are the expectations of your career path? Because if it's just bringing MVP and have some fun fights, like MVP's fun. I mean, MVP Wonder Boy, MVP Pajeda. There's a lot of fun fights to be had. But if he's trying to make a run to the title, there's some very, very tough matchups for him. Yeah, no, I was just off to the side, Richard. Just to the side. It was funny. There was actually something I remember. That night, there were like security barriers in front of the media section, which they don't normally do. And I remember taking a picture of it and be like, "Oh, look, they think the media is going to get a little bit rowdy," and sure enough, it ended up being a little bit of a riot. Yeah, I hope Mike Perry ends up back with BKFC. I just feel like he's like custom made. I feel like that's the spot for him. It's been such a match. Dude, I watch BKFC. It's just I watch BKFC. I vote in their rankings. Um, I do some interviews here and there. I just haven't been to one live yet. It's just the schedule's tough, man. Between the UFC schedule, the CFFC schedule, PFL, Bellator, one. I mean, it's just so much. And then the fact that I'm trying to spend more time with my kid and actually be at home, taking to practice and stuff like that. And I mean, I think if I was single doing this, I'd still be on the road like every week. Like I just love going from event to event to event to event. But I also know these are years that I'll never get back with my kid, and I know there will be other fight events later once he's out of the house. Um, so yeah, that's kind of the way I view things during these key years. Otherwise, I will go. Hopefully, BKFC comes to Vegas, or I'll find a way to get to one sooner or later. Yeah, denial, perfect. He's in his element there. He's in his element. It's just a perfect spot for him. Richard Noggin. What he did to Cyborg was scary. Scary, scary, scary. That was, man. It's just, I mean, dent the man's skull. Like, good Lord. Whew. There you go, Cody Merrow. I see you in there putting in work. All right, so under 20, we've got some movement. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that.
Oh shit! It's fucking coming.
What's that? He was rough yesterday.
All right, next athlete to the scale, competing in the men's flyweight division, Vinicius Salvador. $128.5, 2.5 pounds over the flyweight limit for Vinicius Salvador.
He immediately grabbed some liquids as soon as he walked off stage, so I don't think he's even going to worry if the commission's going to let him cut or not. Yeah, Mark, you're right, actually, man. I think he's getting old now. I've always wanted to take him to Australia. Obviously, you know I love Australia. But just such a long plane ride for a kid. But I think he's to the age now where I think he can handle it. So won't be this Sydney card, but yeah, I definitely want to bring him down there. It's such a beautiful part of the world. But yeah, he looked bad. I see everybody jumping on CJ Vergara now. He's not good, and the man was thirsty. He grabbed some frosty beverages. All right, so we'll wait to see if his opponent will accept it. 2.5 pounds over. Like I said, I saw immediately somebody handed him. He didn't drink out of it, so maybe somebody stopped him, but somebody immediately handed him liquids. So I'm assuming he started rehydrating. Like I said, I saw him yesterday, and he already didn't look great. So we'll see what happens there. Now, at this point, we're just waiting on Michelle ahead of 15 minutes left. Man, it does not have an easy cut by any stretch. We'll see what happens there. Looks like some information is being relayed to John Anik, so I think we're going to get an announcement on Vinicius.
Just a heads up, the fight between CJ Vergara and Vinicius Salvador is a go. Despite the weight miss for Salvador, he will forfeit 20% of his show money.
There you go. 20% fine. Bout goes on as scheduled. UFC. Vinicius Salvador's history. I know he made weight on contender. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, he spent most of his. I thought that was the case. I was wondering if I remember that. I mean, he spent most. Well, I say most of his career. A lot of his career at bantamweight as well. Yeah, I spent a lot of time at bantamweight as well, so I don't know. It doesn't have a big history of missing, but that's a pretty significant weight miss. So yeah, T-Bone, the Sphere, man. I was actually just talking about that. Like, um, first of all, for all of us that saw the Sphere being built in Las Vegas, like we all thought it was gonna be. We were like, all right, whatever. And then when they turned it on and like started showing the graphics, I think all of us were just like, oh my god, are you kidding me? Like none of us knew that like a resolution like that, that it was gonna be that creative, that cool. So I think everybody in Vegas thinks it's cool as hell and cooler than we thought it would be. Tickets are not cheap to go inside of it, and initially I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna buy them or not. But actually, I broke down last night and bought tickets to the first night because the Cosm experience we went to yesterday was so fun that I was like, dude, I got to see this Sphere now. So I bought tickets. So they have like, and so far they're doing a residency with U2, which those are like $500 tickets. So I was not going to bring my family to go see that. Although I like U2, that's a good band. But I don't know that I'd spend that much on concert tickets, but for them, because I don't think they know anything about U2. But they do like an hour-long, I hate to say like movie, but whatever they call it, an 8K presentation or whatever, called Postcard from Earth. That's like the first event thing that they're doing there. And so I bought tickets, and I think the thing that I hate is that they use Ticketmaster for their tickets. So like the cheapest tickets I get were like $70 a piece. I mean, that's just like face value, and these are like cheap seats. These are not like the nice seats. But then you add Ticketmaster fees on it, which is BS. I think 3 tickets end up being like $260 or something like that. So I bought the cheapest tickets, but I at least want to go inside and see it. JM, now that GSP is returning to grappling, I would love to see him grapple BJ Penn. See, that would be cool. Like, nobody wants to see BJ Penn fight anymore, of course. You know what I mean? That was the end was tough to watch. But to see him get in there and grapple a little bit, I'd be all right with that. I was thinking it'd be fun to see Tony Ferguson grapple too. Oh, bro. Cody, man, the thing was off the charts, dude. The Cosm thing is good, dude. I spent too much time talking about it earlier, but I was blown away by the experience yesterday. And again, the thing I'll say, it's not. I mean, the screen, the image is unbelievable. Like, but what they have planned around it, where it's like, super nice restaurant, and bar, and all that stuff. Like, it looks pretty cool. Damn, Zach, your dad's rough. The dude said my dad caught U2 over in Ireland at a local pub. They paid everyone in the pub's tab, and he still hates them. Like, damn, that's a bitter dude right there, man. You gotta like him, right? That's funny. Grease skate, bro. That's been a while. Cody, they have not said they're going to build one in Vegas, but come on, it has to be natural. So what they told us yesterday at the presentation was the first one's in LA, and it's already under construction. It's right next to SoFi. The second one's in Dallas, actually in the Colony, which is up north, at like a new facility that's being built. I don't know if they've broken ground on that one yet, but he said they're already scouting locations 3 through 10. I gotta think Vegas is gonna get one of them. Got to. What happened to Umar? Got hurt. He posted footage, right? He had like a shoulder separation in training. T-Bone, man, that fight's gonna be good. That's a great fight. To me, man, O'Malley and Sterling is incredibly competitive. I know it's incredibly divisive because there's people that love and hate both guys. But, I mean, if you're an unbiased observer and you're willing to put aside any feelings one way or another that you may have for either athlete, I think competitively you got to say, like, this is good, bro. Like, Aljo's grappling is incredible. His back control is insane. But O'Malley's jiu-jitsu is underrated. Meanwhile, O'Malley, man, his striking so fast and slick and accurate. I'm intrigued. We got some movement. Nope. No movement. Oh, yep, here we go. Commission returning to place. Here comes Michelle Pajeda. Somber look. They're already putting the box in place. I would say.
All right, our final athlete to weigh in this morning, competing live on pay-per-view, the 15th ranked UFC welterweight contender, Michel Pereira. .174, the official weight for Michel Pereira, 3 pounds over the welterweight limit.
Well, £3 over. We'll wait to see briefly if we can get an announcement. We'll confirm that if we can. I mean, 3 pounds overweight. Oh, looks like John Anika's going to find out if he can. Oh, they're already saying no additional hour to cut, so he will not be getting any additional time. I can't imagine they would have given him any additional time anyway, to be honest with you. 3 pounds overweight. We're waiting to get official word right now. Significant miss. No additional time to get this done. Big fight in the balance here. Michel Pereira and Wonderboy Thompson. Trying to peek behind the curtains right now. Got to think it's at least going to be a 30% fine. But it's up to Stephen Thompson. Big moment in his career, right? I mean, you can't take a lot of chances right now if you're Stephen Thompson. He's 40 years old. He knows that he needs the fights, but one loss kind of puts off title aspirations. We'll wait to hear what happens. That's good. No, they're good. All right.
All right, nothing to announce at this time on the fight between Stephen Thompson and Michel Pereira. We will keep you updated, but just letting you know it could go into the afternoon as to whether or not that fight actually goes down Saturday night.
Okay, so the announcement is we don't know if we're going to have a fight. I guess we'll show up to the ceremonial weigh-ins and see what happens. Stay tuned. We'll find out if we've got ourselves a matchup between Michel Pereira and Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. In the meantime, appreciate everybody that joined today. No face-offs here. We'll have the face-offs later this afternoon with the ceremonial weigh-ins. Thank you to everybody for joining as always. We'll find out if we got a new look main card coming up.